Have you ever read a book where you just don't understand the ending at all and you're left thinking like, okay, what did I miss? So you go back to try and figure out what it is that you're missing and you never quite find it? Well, let me tell you about a book I read recently where I had that experience. So hello everybody and welcome. You are at Book Talks with Miss Thomas, and I am Miss Thomas. I post videos on Wednesdays, and my cat Truffles, she likes to post on Sundays. So I was researching young adult books and even children's books to try and find some good books that, you know, might be interesting to the average high school student. And I came across this book, In an Absent Dream. It's by Seanan McGuire, and it was very lauded, highly lauded book. It says, in fact, in the jacket, it says, a standalone fantasy tale in New York Times best-selling author Seanan McGuire's award-winning Wayward Children Series. So I thought, okay, great. I can't wait to read this, and hopefully I'll have some great things to tell my students. It's an enjoyable book. I was able to get through it pretty quickly. It took me like a day. And it was definitely a book that was good in that I could put it down, pick it back up again. You know, I carried it around with me while I was running errands. So I wouldn't have to stop and try and figure out what happened before I left off, kind of thing. It was a very easy to read, easy to follow book until the end. So I don't know. I struggled with that. And then I researched it and I found out that it's, you know, part of a series. And so I think it would have made more sense to me if I were following the series, which I'm not. It did say that it is a standalone fantasy tale. I disagree. So, the beginning, though, it was pretty good. I will tell you about that. If I had to recommend it to somebody, it would be like a student who really isn't interested in doing an independent reading project but has to read something. This was really easy read. It was a fantasy. It had some interesting characters, some interesting setting descriptions, some interesting components of fantasy in the book. But I just was really, at the end, I didn't get it, and I felt like, wow, I spent a day reading this book and now I'm left sort of confused. So I didn't really care for it in that regard. But let me tell you a little bit about the book, because maybe you are interested in this series, or maybe this kind of book would interest you. So this book is about a character named Catherine Lundy, and it says that, you know, she doesn't go by Cat or Kate or Kitty. She must be Catherine Lundy. She's very intellectual. She's very bookish. She likes to read. She doesn't have friends her own age. She's a joy to teach in the classroom. All the teachers, you know, of course, love having her because she just reads and wants to learn, but she doesn't really seem to relate to people very well. And so on the last day of school, she's walking home from school when there's this tree that she's passed every day, but today the tree has a door. And you see that on the cover. I don't know if you can make out the tree there, but there's a tree that appears in the door. So she goes through the tree and enters this magical world of goblins. And most of the goblins are good. They have a real sense of right and wrong and fairness and justice. And I wondered if the book was trying to, you know, have some higher meaning about justice and truth. I'm not sure. If it was, went right past me. But there is a sense in the goblin market of what is fair and what is just. And so there's a lot about fair price. You know, you have to give somebody fair price for everything that, you know, they give you, or they have to expressly say, you know, this is my gift to you. And children are not as accountable for fair price as the older people. And so Catherine Lundy can come in and out of the Goblin Market until she's 18. But by the time she's 18, she has to make a commitment. And she loves the Goblin Market. She wants to live there for life. But she also misses her family and, wants to at least say goodbye to them. The problem is, once she goes back to say goodbye to them, they put her in this school so that she can't get away because they don't want her to disappear again. And I wondered if that was like a nod to the Hogwarts, the Harry Potter series, because she goes to this boarding school. But eventually she does escape and goes back to the Goblin world, and then sometimes to her, regular world, which is what we are. We're the people in the regular world. So that's pretty much the premise of the book. She does make friends with a girl named Moon, who keeps getting herself into debt, and Catherine has to keep trying getting her out of debt. The things from the human world are of tremendous value in the Goblin world, so she tries to go to the human world and bring things like pencils, for example, to the Goblin world, so that they will give fair trade for that. And usually she wants, something for her friend Moon, because you turn into a bird very slowly if you acquire too much debt. And so Moon is turning into a bird. The end of the book, I have to tell you, like I say, I wish I could tell you how it ends. You don't have to worry about a spoiler alert with this one because I didn't understand the ending. So, I don't know. I'm not even going to try. But I will say that it was a very easy to read fantasy book. The friendship between Catherine and Moon was engaging. The idea of the tree and walking through the tree to the magical world was kind of cool. So there were some things about it that were enjoyable. But overall, I do not recommend In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire.